Welcome everybody, I'm here with Redd Volkaert, part 2. We're in the second year of the Masters of the Telecaster camp up in Big Indian, New York. And Redd is here. We played last night and him and a bunch of other Telecaster knuckleheads are going to join together to do a teaching camp this week. And so here we are with Redd on the Alternative Guitar Summit podcast, and I'm excited because Redd is one of these guitarists who is truly one of the great American players and one of many who is deserving of a lot wider recognition because his abilities outstrip many of the people we know better. So I want to dig right into the music and show you a little bit about Redd's genius. So the first thing I want to talk to you about this time around is playing rhythm. We talked about that earlier. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to take a tune and first, you show me a little bit about how to make my rhythm playing better. So I'll be the sacrificial lamb. And you show me what, like when you're looking for, somebody's backing you up, what you're looking for. And what you think, the small little parts about playing rhythm guitar are that's going to make somebody sound better. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, let's take the same tune, and I want to show people, I want them to experience what I experienced last night, which was to watch you play a completely different type of solo on every tune. And a tune that I might think you were going to go kind of straight into a more country thing, all of a sudden you'd be playing a lot more Western swing or jazz. And then vice versa. You might go into a chord solo, or you might go into an overdriven blues type of sound. And it's one of your unique abilities is the capacity to shapeshift like that.
I don't think it's that unique. It's just a matter of a guy thinking that way. And, if you're playing, like I was saying earlier, if you're playing with another person, never play what they just finished playing as a style or a sound or whatever, because otherwise you'll sound like, to the people listening, you sound like you might be in a gunfight with the guy trying to outdo him on the same thing he just did a great job on.
Right.
So that makes me automatically want to think like that I need something different every time I hear the last guy play his solo before me, if I'm playing with other players. And if I'm playing by myself in a trio or, a four-piece with an organ player or something like that, I can't do any organ things. I can do some of those voicings maybe, but I wouldn't intentionally do that because that's his job and he's better at it than I am. So that I'd leave that style off the table for me to have an option to play a second and a third solo. So I just think of it as, well, we're playing this one song and he played an organ solo, so that's off the table for me anyway. I can't do it. But if you played a hot chicken picking solo, well, maybe I should do something that's not half the speed, but not so fast and furious, that's different, that's still gonna help the song. And that might be something as little as the melody, or a double stop version of the melody, or a bluesier version that's not so feisty and fiery like the solo you played. So it's a contrast to what you're doing. So I think of that all the time while I'm playing, whether it's with other people, whatever you did, then I'm gonna do something different.
Right.
If I do something, I hope you do something different. If you don't, that's okay too. It's music, it's all fun, it's all good.
Right.
And if I'm playing where I'm the lead guy for the whole thing, I think, wow, why would I play exactly what I just played last time for the next verse?
Right.
So make it different, think of something different. And one of the things that works for me of thinking of different styles and ways to play or start a solo, I have done it for years where I'll be playing along and think, okay, I'm doing this melody thing, and now my next one's got to be different. I think, okay, what would one of my heroes do if they were playing? And I always thought like that, thinking, okay, yeah, maybe Chet Atkins didn't play that kind of music, but if he did, what would he play for a solo? Or, what would Albert King play in a country song? Yeah, I'm sure he'd play something great.
Yeah.
But so think along that line, what would that guy do? And I always use that as a kind of a little analogy for myself to make myself want to think of somebody's style and playing to give me a little bit of an inspiration to play something different for the next solo. And then the next one, well, we don't have a steel guitar player, so what would a good steel player do? There's several styles of steel players, so on this song, I'll pick one of them and then try and mimic some of that guy's phrasing or whatever to give the illusion that I'm playing sort of a steel guitar, sort of a solo.
Sure.
And then, like I say, you can mix it up with whoever you like, style, and whoever we follow and like, we always steal at least 5 licks off of their thing to get us kind of motivated into learning more of their style and how they think, and that's what draws us to their playing and their greatness, that they're so good.
But the difference between you and others, if I might say so, is that typically, and I don't want to make too big a generalization, when we're thinking of country music, we're thinking of a fairly limited, somewhat hidebound tradition in terms of what a solo is going to sound like. And there's a real country style of playing, especially on a Tele, that's a fantastic entity in and of itself. But when you approach it, just like you just explained, you've got this tool bag, so you've got all this jazz knowledge that you can put in it that most people are not used to hearing, coming maybe a lot from the Western swing and some Django stuff, and then your ability to play up, as you put it, a kind of a pedal steel thing is, kind of a cut above a lot of people. So that's what I appreciate about you, is this deep tool bag. So nobody ever knows what you're going to do, and your sense of humor when you're doing it. Because
well, you got to have fun playing, and it's just music. How hard can it be?
Well, like last night, this is I want to steal this from you. I think you ended a solo something like this.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Well, you got to have fun with stuff, and it can't be too serious, or everybody's going to think he's too serious. And it comes out that way out of your amp too, So you got to have fun with what you're playing, and maybe put some funny quotes in from some other tunes that you've learned along the way.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it is. It can be from other standards, or country standards, or pop standards, or jazz instrumental kind of, and lead it into something.
Right.
So I'm going to go, So I just use that as a quote to get me from A to D, so to speak, and I'm sneaking that in there. Or I'll start my solo and it goes. So you're using bits of something in your repertoire of stuff you've learned along the way. It doesn't matter what it is. And if it's funny, that's okay. You don't do too much of it, like anything. Sugar's a good thing, salt's a good thing, but too much of either isn't good for you, and doesn't taste that good when it's all too much of it. So same with making fun of something. You can overdo it and it becomes obnoxious. And I think it's the same way with a guy's playing, how he treats it. But to come up with the different styles, it's not really that hard. I mean, who do you like, and whose music do you like that you might want to learn a few things from? And if it's a jazz guy and a country guy and a steel guy and a fiddle player and a piano player, learn some of their things, learn some of their music that they really thrive on. And not you have to do a lot of it, but just, like 5 licks or 1 or 2 instrumentals from each guy if you want to dig that deep and learn their versions of that. And then that's going to give you just a pile of ideas. If you recall the name of the guy before your next solo, you think of all the things you've learned.
Right.
Well, I can sneak a few of those things in there and call that my, George Benson solo, or, Wes Montgomery. Oh, octaves. It's an instant thing that you learn first. the most thing that stands out about a guy, you're going to try and find those things because you hear them the most in his playing. So you're going to copy those particular quotes or things about the style of that guy's playing. Then when you recall it, then you've still got those, whatever you want to call them, quirks or quips of that guy, and it gives the illusion that, oh, it sounds kind of like, which is your goal.
So I appreciate the fact that you're being very matter-of-fact and humble about this, but what I think is a little different about you than a lot of people is this curiosity that you're talking about. You're willing to learn from everyone, and I love that. And so in the middle of a very classic old, like hidebound country song that's just the old, style of playing and singing, all of a sudden all this new language creeps in a very organic way. Let's do some of that right now. Why don't you show people?
Okay.
But the first thing, I want to go back to this. Now, one of the things that playing with you last year did for me, and here I am. I'm still learning the most basic stuff. In some ways, I think we all
are.
And so I want to go back to the most basic thing, the country chop. When somebody's backing, when you're backing up another person. So play it just a little bit of rhythm for us, and if you would, do some up in the neck a little bit, so there's that sound, but also down here. Let's just take the song Hello Walls, and let's just watch you play a little bit of rhythm first. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions.
Okay. So the intro is 4511 in C.
I'm just gonna let you go.
Hello walls, how things go for you today? Aren't you lonely? Since she up and walked away, I bet you dread to spend another lonely night with me. But lonely walls, I'll keep you company. So another guy's gonna fill the next verse. Hello, ceiling. I see that you're still here. Aren't you lonely? Since our darling disappeared. Well, look here. Is that a teardrop in the corner of your pain? Now don't you try and tell me that it's rain.
Okay, what you just did the second time through, it seems probably obvious to a lot of people, but me, since I'm a little bit more of a visitor to country music than a full-time occupant, I want to break that down a little bit. So there's a lot going on here. One more time, just on the C chord. Boom.
It's kind of like that old song, a wee ma wet, a wee ma wet, a wee ma wet. That's what you're playing on your rhythm, on a shuffles type of.
So you're hearing the muted chord on the downstroke, and then the.
Yeah, you're hearing like the C and the E note.
Okay, so you're actually muting on the downstroke.
Yeah, I'm letting the fork off my thumb part of my hand hit the strings and kill them from ringing.
And it's both the down and the upstroke muted.
Yeah, everything, as much as you can mute, do it.
Okay.
Because to me, in a band, if everybody's ringing, it's just a jumble, like having too much reverb, you know. And after the last strike, I lift my fingers off just a little bit to kind of kill the sound, and I get that.
Yeah.
Now I've got more of a percussive drum sound, like if it was brushes on a snare drum. So if we're doing a duo, I want that kind of sound to make you sound better and play better.
Because you're feeling it all.
Because I'm giving a snare drum thing, and I'm adding a fake bass drum sort of a thing to it.
But are you doing that same thing if there's bass and drums?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
As long as it's in time and,
Yeah.
and right on with them. I mean, same old rules. If you play ahead of the beat, they're gonna feel like you're racing.
Okay, so if let's say I'm playing down there and you're playing rhythm also up here, what would it look like up in the seventh position here if you're?
I wouldn't use as many bass strings because they sound dorky up here in a rhythm situation. So I would use from the D string down, and you were going, and I'm going to play with it. Or
Got it.
that way I'm not in the way of yours and the drums and the bass. Like 4 guys trying to hit a 1 is like.
Okay, but the thing, it sounds so obvious, but there's a difference between this, which is almost a reggae thing,
Right.
and just this.
Right, but when you're hearing just 2, or if there's other guitar players and they're playing other things, the less stuff, the better.
Yeah, but I like the fact that you got that extra hit in.
Yeah, it's an accent, like where the snare drum would be.
Yeah.
So you do that on the high. Yeah.
I mean, these are the tools that if you want to work as a guitar player backing up a singer are going to hold you in good stead.
Especially the muting, because they don't want to hear a bunch of ringing and clanging going on.
Yeah.
From all the other instruments that you know, it gets to be so much of a wash with all those things. Whereas if you have 5 guys and each guy has a little job to do and does that job tight and clean with no ringing and over extending anything that you're doing, it's going to sound a lot more cohesive and together as a unit, as opposed to one guy doing the rhythm and singing as a solo act, you know.
Right.
So the same with your fills. Let the singer sing, shut up, stay out of his way. When he sings something, after he's done, then play a little fill lick. Let him do the melody because he's selling the song,
right, and
probably paying you. You know, so if you're doing "Hello Walls" on the record, it was "Hello, hello, how things go for you today? Well, aren't you lonely? Since she up and walked away, I'll bet you'd rather spend another lonely night with me. Oh, lonely walls, I'll keep you company. So all the fills are in singing fill. And that's a hard thing to do, because we all have lines we want to play and we want to finish them and try and stick them in there, and sometimes they don't belong and don't fit, and a lot of singers don't want to hear that much stuff in there.
But the authority with which you play rhythm, simple, just solid. It's the same thing with any kind of music, whether you're playing a blues shuffle or you're playing jazz. The attention that we give to backing up other people is sometimes insufficient because everybody wants to solo.
Oh, of course.
So I think this is really useful. Well, let me try to back you up, and do me a favor. I know this is a little bit, has a feeling of being a little pre-planned because you do it so organically, but why don't you take a couple of choruses and just talk about the variety, or play with that variety. You know, you do that one thing and then the next chorus you do another one. Okay. Whatever that might be. And we'll just do the A section. We don't need to, I'm sorry, we don't need to go to the bridge.
Yeah,
is what I'm
that's
saying.
fine.
Let me just make sure. Where is your volume? Okay. Just from the top. A 1, a 2, a 1. Do it again. Now a different one, please.
Okay.
1, 2, ready, play. That's fantastic. Okay, so break down a little bit of how, with these very simple chords, you throw in jazz harmony, which would just mean some extensions, you know, over a C, you go, you know, that type of thing I've heard you do, or, you know, that type of stuff. It's part of your kind of chordal Western swing language.
Yeah, if we're in C and we're going to go to F. So what works in that? Most guys would play a C7 of some kind. So there's all kind of ways you can skin the cat. You know, is to play an augmented. So you go. I've got the 3 from the C chord, and I've raised the 5th to the augmented. In a jazz world, that'd be, oh, he's going to the 4 chord.
Yeah.
To some country guys, it's like, oh, he hit a slick spot, I guess, you know. But that's one way to do it. So another way of a jazzier way to do that is to start your solo on the 5 minor, because the 5 minor, if you play in the key of C and you played with a C bass, that's kind of a C7 without a 3 in it. So you're taking that and you can play over the 1 chord, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So you're using the, as long as you resolve always and hit a 1 before you go to the 4, the G minor you can. Put all kinds of things in there. So those are little tricks or little versions of, to me, what a jazz guy might play, as opposed to a country guy that would be really major scaly sort of. Jazz guy might go 1, 2, 3. Way too much stuff, but you can put all that in there. You probably lose your gig, but
well, let me ask you
use
this:
bits and pieces sparingly, and it sounds like you're implying a jazzier tone to your solo or your bit that you're playing without doing too much of it. Right. If it's a country song, keep it country, but put some of that in there a little bit as a spice, a little flavor, something different from just, say, maybe the first time you did it, you did the melody. The second time you did it in double stops. The third time you might imply some jazzier things because you're getting a little further away from the truth on it at that point, and yet you're making something different each time you're playing that's hopefully a bit more interesting each time, that keeps the listener going, wow, this guy never stops, you know?
Yeah, well, but you play a lot of your own gigs, so nobody's gonna fire you. So that's kind of cool because you're able to put that stuff in, and it sounds great because it's your music. What you said earlier, though, for if you're working for a singer, yeah, that's a different story. You got to kind of be careful not to step on anybody's toes.
Don't overdo it and put too much stuff in there. And each person that you work for that's a singer and their tunes requires a different set of rules for yourself.
Right.
Because they're straight up country or bluegrass or folk or whatever. So you need to be thinking of that and remember that, okay, this guy's a Western swing guy, so I don't put any Buck Owens licks in his kind of music because it wasn't in the original 30s, 40s kind of playing back then.
Right.
So I think, okay, well, if I'm going to back this fella up and he's doing this kind of music, well, then I need to kind of stick to that. But if I get 3 solos in a row, I want to make them different. How can I make them different? Well, I might put half of a Buck Owens lick in there just to give it a little different flavor.
Okay, do us a favor, because a lot of the people who are watching this are not necessarily conversant in some of these historic figures. So, can you? I'm gonna just take a couple of 2, 3, 4 famous guitar players, more from the country, or at least country jazz tradition, and show us a little bit about what they sound like. If you're going to throw in a Buck Owens lick, what's that going to sound like on the tune we just played?
Bridge pickup, twangier, skinny string stuff.
Okay.
So. Nichols, a little thicker sound, same kind of style, but a little jazzier.
1, 2, here we go. Chet Atkins. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So the point here is that you took the time in your studying so that you could be as interesting a player as possible, play with as many people as possible to really study these
That wasn't the plan, though, as a young buck. I liked all those things, and I wanted to learn some of that stuff. Like, what's he doing? What's that guy doing? In the old days, all you had was a TV show. You see him on there once every 2 years, going on TV playing a song and play something. So you learn and you try and figure, what are they doing? Oh, the thumb's always going. on top of that, somebody's doing something on top. Oh, it's him.
Yeah.
So you learn bits and learn bits and learn bits, but I did that as a thing of, I want to know how to play that stuff. You know, I heard Hank Garland, I'm going,
Right.
so you learn that, and you know, little pieces and little things here and there. It takes forever.
Yeah.
But what else you got to do if you're sitting on the end of your bed as a kid or on the end of the couch at home as a grown-up and you want to play? You're going to spend time learning those things, and the more you learn, the better, and the more variety you learn. Down the road, maybe not today, but down the road, you're going to use some of that information. At some point, you're going to pull it out of your toolbox and go, I think this will fit in there. And lots of mistakes where, oops, I guess it didn't. That happens a lot.
All right, well, let's keep this going. How about Jimmy Bryant? How big was he to you?
Oh, huge, but I can't play like him.
Oh, I guess who can?
You know.
Well, you kind of can. You got a lot of that language. I mean, the speed is another thing. Nobody could really do that.
Yeah, his
Maybe
speed was unbelievable. Yeah, his speed was unbelievable. Yeah, but just his way of phrasing, he played a lot like he was a fiddle player before he was a guitar player. So that's where the speed came from, and those kind of melodic, sort of scaly things he would do.
There's one other person though. You mentioned Wes Montgomery, so let's try a little of that.
Okay.
1, 2.
Any of the stuff
Yeah,
hardly at all.
but it's your way of
It's
approaching
kind of
it.
it's all I got, so I'm going to make it work. Kind of, you know. I mean, we can only have so much information in our pea brain, so you know, you have 5 licks of this guy, 2 of that guy, 1 of that guy, and if you mix it all together, you still got lots of stuff.
Well, what I love about this is, you know, one of the things that I feel is the purpose of my interviews and my channel and my mission as a guitar player and educator is to celebrate the broad diversity, the width, the breadth of American music and American guitar playing, that there's something amazing about all the different styles and approaches and cultures of music that have come together in our country and given us the greatest guitar music in the world. And it's fun to kind of isolate each of them almost like streams from a river.
Right.
And then the point is when you're playing, it's the river.
Yeah.
It's all there, but to isolate it is fun because it shows the work that you did to get to where the river is. You took these little trails over here and streams over here.
Do a lot of exploring. I mean, that's what it kind of comes down to, is you have to take the time to pick something out, analyze it, try and mimic it, copy it, figure out how that's going to fit, where that's going to fit in anything but the song you pulled it from. That's a whole other game of experimenting as well as trying to figure out the licks and the phrases by themselves, you know.
Let's move a little bit to something that is equally enjoyable in your playing, and I want to use the right phrase for this. They're kind of I'm going to use the word tricks that a lot of Tele players especially use with open strings and such that are always delightful to hear, and you threw a couple of those in last night. Sorry, you know, something like sorry, that type of thing in a tune. Do a little bit of that, because you've got a few of those in your toolkit.
Okay.
So
Same song.
Same song. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Oh.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, those are great. I mean, that to me, it's beautiful because only a guitar can do that. Just like only a guitar can pull a note and slide up on a note like we do.
I love those licks and they're great. And I have some students that I say, yeah, they're great because they always want to learn them too. And I think they're great, but they're limited because they only fit in certain keys and like the C, G. E, A minor.
Now that one, that first one you did,
that's just
there's a version of you doing Truck Driving Man where you throw that in on the floor chord and it just works like a charm. I want to talk about up-tempo tunes for a second because you play up-tempo so relaxed and it never feels as if you're trying to play to the tempo. It's just happening. And if we could, let me just do a little bit of up-tempo playing in E. We'll just play Truck Driving Man. Show us a little bit of how you approach the speedier tunes and some of that stuff that you're using that makes it sound
open
great.
string things.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, there's a bunch of licks and phrases, but they're good for certain keys only. So if we're doing Truck Driving Man and E, when it comes, I have some E things I could do. That's for E and E7.
Right.
Now when it goes to A, I can go 4. That kind of a thing.
Do that again and slow it down, please. That's a very
I'm playing an A6 chord, but I'm plucking off an open 12 fret E to an open E. Forward.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So that's for A, and then that for A. A7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. All A chord stuff.
Yeah.
So E. Right. For D7. A lot harder. So certain licks fit certain chords. So in this song, we're in E, then I go to A, then back to E, and so I can put a few of those things in there. So I might start 1, 2, or what tempo you want to do?
What works for you? You count it off.
1, 2, 3.
Oh wait, let's back up because I'm not that skilled at playing an up-tempo
The same.
background.
Well, it's a
Same
two-beat
thing?
Rhythm. No, it's a different than the
Okay,
shuffle.
please, show
So we're
me.
going to play a stone.
Oh, okay. So it's a little simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Let's do it again.
1, 2, 3. Well, I started at the roadhouse in Texas. And a little place called Hamburger. I heard one big red morning. I'm a truck driving man. So then I'll put the open things in there.
Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. well, it's just such happy music. That's
Yeah.
something that I experienced last night. You know, it's so simple, but it drives deep into you when you hear it.
Yeah, it's fun to listen to, and people were dancing like crazy last night, and having fun and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the band has fun playing. It might be boring for a drummer to sit there and tap away, and a bass player root five. You know, if they're kind of poppers or something, it might be pretty boring.
They
for
weren't
them.
bored.
But if the groove is right, how could they not enjoy the groove? You know.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you a little bit about your early background. You grew up in Canada, am I correct?
Yeah, Vancouver.
In Vancouver, and what type of stuff were you exposed to at an early age? You know, what were you into when you were 12, 13, 14?
My brother is a year older, so he always had a pretty good little record collection. He listened to a lot of, at the time, the popular music was for kids, I guess, was Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Grand Funk, and that kind of style of stuff. And so I tried to learn a bunch of those sort of things. And
I hear you're a hell of a metal player when you wanted to. I heard it.
And my dad liked the blues, so he had lots of Albert King and B.B. King and Jimmy Reed and that, so I listened to that. And my mother, she liked Les Paul and Mary Ford, and she had a Jimmy Bryant 10-inch record album, and had 4 songs on it. And so I worked on that stuff. Never did get it, but I worked on it, so I listened to that a lot. And she also liked Motown music, so I listened to lots of Fontella Bass and that kind of stuff, and some of the Motown, which helped me with my rhythm playing.
Yeah.
And you know, and then she liked Ella Fitzgerald and Mahalia Jackson, all that kind of stuff too, and Staples and that. So I got to listen to a lot of that kind of music. On the weekends, my folks would have, you know, 1 or 2 couples over on the weekends. They'd move all the furniture, and them records would go all night long, and they'd have a party and dance in the living room on the weekends, and, you know, a couple of drinks maybe, you know. But so just through osmosis, I heard that kind of stuff a lot as a little kid.
So what were some of your earlier gigs?
First gigs, well, my brother was a drummer, so we had our own little power duo. You know? So we'd sit in the basement and, you know, that kind of stuff, you know. And, you know, we'd do that, and then for hours until we heard it stomping on the floor from above. Quit.
Well, what about when you first got hired out to play long 5-hour bar gigs? What were you doing?
Those were, I call it the Antler tour. I was playing Eagles clubs and Elks clubs and Moose lodges and anything with horns or wings on it. I seemed to, you know, hook up with some guys in country bands that were playing. They were all old guys in their 20s and 30s, you know, and they were playing their kind of current country music, which was Buck Owens, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, that kind of stuff, early their version stuff, not the later 80s things, but 60s and 70s music, and a lot of 50s country music. So doing that on the weekends, I learned a lot of that music from making mistakes and, you know, not playing I'm sure I didn't play very good then because I was new to me, so I was learning. Yeah. But I had, you know, a few things that I'd learned, and I figured out a few patterns that, you know, when all these country guys are playing, if they're in C, next chord's probably going to be an F in it. I figured that much of it. So I knew kind of a little bit of where to go, and it slowly got better and better, and I guess I got better at doing that. And, you know, for me, my whole life has been about a memory. So everything that you learn, all the mistakes you make, you remember them, and you don't do them again. Or if they're good, you remember it and save it, and you will use it again. It's a matter of when and where, and especially chord patterns and the way songs are written, you know, and different styles of music. They, you know, a lot of styles have a certain group of chords or patterns that they use, like the old kind of poppy jazz standards, A-trainy kind of tunes. Lots of that stuff is 3-6-2-5, and they do that. Or they're in the 1, the bridge always goes to a 3, and then the 6, then a 2, and then a 5 on a lot of those kind of tunes. So once you get that kind of under your skin, where you go, okay, that seems to happen a lot, then somebody plays a tune you hadn't heard before. 5 out of 10 times it's going to have those typical changes in it. Same with country music, same with blues music, not those particular changes, but a different set of changes that a style seems to use and favor.
And so I'm guessing that when you were a teenager and going into your early 20s, you were working a lot. Were you doing like 4 or 5 nights a week doing these longer gigs?
Well, not when I was a little teen. I mean, because I didn't have a driver's license.
Oh, no,
so the guys had
like
to come and get me. But once I got my lesson or my driver's license,
college,
then I could work. I'd be going to school during the day, and I'd fill in for guys at night, like a Tuesday and a Thursday, and then I had a regular with another band that played Friday and Saturday. So I worked 4 days a week, a lot, from when I was 16, and then I guess. I left home at 17 and moved to another province. And from then on, it was 6 nights a week with bands and traveled around playing all the time.
And where were you when you moved?
When I left Vancouver, I moved to the province of Alberta, which is the towns Calgary and Edmonton and Red Deer and a bunch of little towns that each town, well, the big cities had more, but all the little towns it was an oil boom going back then. So every town had 2 hotels. One had a rock band in it and the other one had a country band in it. That way they catered to all the oil riggers and all the folks that worked. And they'd all come to the bars at night and drink and party and dance and stuff. So there was tons of, every town had a country band playing in a country bar. So, and that was 6 nights a week, 5 hours a night. And Saturday afternoon was, they called a jam session. So anybody in the crowd that wanted to get up and play and sing could do that from 3 to 7 every Saturday. So we had to back up lots of different people and learn new stuff every week or old stuff you hadn't heard before. And so it really was a good learning ground for me to learn a bunch of new things to me and how to apply what I had to make it work for them.
Now, one of your legendary runs was when you moved to Austin at the Continental Club. And I think a lot of these gigs were with our mutual friend Cindy Cashdollar when she lived there. But you basically inhabited that place for a couple of nights a week for a good long time.
20 years at the Continental Club.
And that was under your own name.
Well, the Sunday night was a band called Hay Bale, but
that's probably, I'm guessing, where you really developed your own act. Night after night, week after week, you're doing the tunes you want to do.
Doing my own thing.
And doing them the way you wanted to do them.
Before that, when I lived in Nashville, I was playing in other bands, and the Don Kelly Band was one of the regular club bands that played.
So you were one of the many great guitarists who came through that.
Well, he slipped up a time or two anyway, he got me. But yeah, I did that gig a lot. 2 years at one point, then a year, and then another year and a half, and then.
Now, was that the bar where we were talking about Brad Paisley coming in before anybody knew who he was and looking at you and go, I want to be like that guy?
That was a place called Robert's Western.
Oh, Robert, but I thought that Don Kelly played at Roberts. Am I mixing?
He played at Roberts, so we played there. I was there, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years, and Brad used to come in then. He was still going to school, Belmont College then. And he'd come in and look at my pedal board, and when we hit it off, so we'd talk about pickups and wiring, and he's as nerdy as the rest of us.
And he tried to pick up a few things. All right, but you're probably best known because of your tenure with Merle Haggard. Tell us just for a moment how that came about, and give us a picture into what a day on the road with Merle Haggard was like.
Well, before I got the job, I was playing downtown, doing 2 shifts a day. I'd do a 6 to 10 and then a 10 till a quarter to 3.
Where was this?
In Nashville.
You played that long for how long?
I don't know, probably 8 years of that.
Woo!
And then I'd get some other afternoon things too. You could do like 11 to 2, and then 2 to 6 with a duo or something, just to practice more and do that. So I did a lot of that.
12 hours of how'd your hands feel by the end of the night?
Oh, they hurt some days, but if I came to play, I want to learn, you know.
That's
so
beautiful.
Anyway, so I did that, and this one club I played in Printer's Alley. It's called Skull's Rainbow Room, and Merle's band would come in, not him, his band would come in, some of them, and hang out. They'd come to town. Of course, they'd do a TV show, and they'd finish those at 7 or 8. They'd start at 4 or 5 and tape a show or different TV shows. And when they're done, the band would just take off and scatter because Merle would have some other interviews or something to do. So they would go hit around towns, watch stuff they liked.
Yeah.
So a few of those guys came in and jammed with me on my little trio gig downtown, and I got to know a bunch of them that way. So when the job came open, I guess he had asked them, all right, we need another guitar player. Who you guys want to get? And 5 out of 8 of them said me, because they'd been coming to see me and jamming for a couple of 3 years.
Yeah.
And recommended me. So that's how I got the job. But man, it was just a wonderful experience, especially for a Telecaster guitar nut to get to play with Merle Haggard.
Yeah, that's what you've been waiting your whole life.
Dreaming. Yeah.
But so what's a day on the road with Merle like? You told me last night, which I thought was fascinating, that Merle really didn't travel outside of the U.S. much at all, never to Europe, or maybe once to Europe, but there was a ton of driving all around the States. So what's a day in the life on the bus with Merle like, and getting to the gig? And
Well, we had 2 buses, you know, on the road, because there was enough, you know, probably 10 people total, you know, and so we would travel. Like if he started a tour in Oklahoma, the 2 buses would leave from California where he lived, drive to Oklahoma, start the tour, do the tour, and wherever they finished up, some of the guys would fly home, or if the buses were going back to California all the time, if it was on the way, they'd drop you off, you know, that kind of thing. So a lot of, but he stayed on the bus. He didn't like flying, and just too much hassle. It wasn't worth it. He'd rather just stay on his bus, and loved it, you know. So he did that. But we would, you know, finish a gig at night, and if it was a long way, we'd drive all night, and you know, sometimes we'd do 16-hour drives, and then you get there 5, 6 in the morning before check-in, so everybody's already asleep on the bus, so you lay down in your bunk and sleep for a while, at least till you can check in. Then you can either go in there and finish your sleep, or get a shower and go do some other stuff or whatever. And sound check was usually 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock during the day, and at whatever venue. So everybody gets on the bus and leaves the hotel at 3:30, heads to the gig, sets up and plays, does sound check, hang around there and wait to go play at 10 o'clock, and play at 10 and get out of there by midnight or 1, and load up and go do it again, you know.
So how many tunes did you need to learn to do that gig? Of Merle's, obviously.
I mean, I learned them as a kid.
So you already
much of his stuff as I could, because in my time, every country bar band probably did at least 60% Merle Haggard music. So I played lots of those songs 1,000 times with different folks growing up, you know, and so to get that gig was like, I'm ready, I think, you know.
And every now and then maybe he'd bust out something that you
hadn't played with some other bands, but I knew of the song because I was familiar with all his music, you know, just over the years of just loving it, you know, and his singing and his lyrics and his songs, but also his band, to me, was one of the best bands on the planet.
Yeah.
And so at the time, Roy Nichols was his guitar player on all those old records, so I purposely sat down and tried to steal every lick I could off of those records.
Sure.
And luckily, as it turns out, I get the gig with him, so I get to put a bunch of that stuff in there. Yeah. And to me, they're Roy Nichols quotes.
Yes.
To Merle, those were the licks that were on the record, so when he hears them, he got whiplash a few times, you know, because he'd go, nobody plays it like that, you know. Well, it was on the record.
Yeah.
So I'd start it like the record, and then, you know, a lot of times he'd go, oh, great, go again. I'd do another solo. So the more solos I get, the weirder I could play and get away with.
Yeah.
And he loved it. He was a guitar fanatic, so he just loved guitar playing and sitting on the bus and playing guitar all day long and then play the gig. He just loved playing music and guitar stuff, you know. And so when he heard other players being creative, he enjoyed that and loved it and laughed and
So
go again.
If you were sitting down with him and you did some of the more jazz oriented stuff or whatever that we were talking, anything that we just did, he'd be all for that.
Oh,
that was great.
Oh,
Show me what you're doing.
Yeah, he would be. If somebody recorded his song exactly the same way, it'd be like, yeah, okay, you know. But if somebody like Bob Marley did one of his tunes and some other folks, the Skinner and that, he'd hear those bands doing his songs their way, and he'd go, "That's great," because they did it their way, not his way. And so he just loved that they could create something out of, for him, out of something I wrote, kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm guessing he was a band leader who did not say a lot about what he wanted you to do. He just let you do the job.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he didn't like something, he'd go, give me something different, you know, like that in the studio or whatever.
Right.
But never, nah, it doesn't fit, nothing negative ever.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question you may not have the answer to. One of the astonishing things about, many things about Merle Haggard, is his ability to tell essentially a complete novel in 3 verses and a chorus.
Yeah.
Did you ever talk to him or think about how he developed that ability? Because yes, there are many great songwriters, but the way he could encapsulate so much in so few words, I think is truly genius.
Yeah, and I don't think he tried, like he didn't toil over anything and sit down and, well, this line doesn't match and this thing. He never did any of that. He would just have ideas, and most of the time, Bonnie Owens, who was one of his ex-wives, was the backup singer in the band.
Right.
But back when they were married, she walked around with a yellow foolscap notepad and wrote everything down that I got a line, you know, she'd write it down. She wrote everything down. So he would just come up with stuff, and he'd come up with a verse at a time, or some songs he said he wrote just the whole thing in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It just came to him. It was that kind of thing, and he had a way in his mind that he would write those tunes, and for him, it was easy for him to condense it all into 3 verses and tell the whole book.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was he didn't work at that, he just did that.
Right.
You know, I think that was definitely a gift of his that he had that lots of people don't have, you know. And just the way he would, you know, if you look at a lot of his lyrics, you could see a definite style to it, but that's the way he grew up, was that style of talking and describing things and that, you know. And he would get ideas from other people that would give him an idea for a song. You know, like one example that's out there, I think on YouTube somewhere, that they had finished working for the summer and the fall, and they were taking off for the winter. And he, I guess, middle of December, he called Roy Nichols and said, "Hey, how's it going? You know, oh, we're doing all right here." He said, "Yeah, it's pretty good." He said, "Pretty cold down there?" He said, "No, it's not bad. How's it up there in Redding?" He said, "Oh, we got snow and this and that. It's pretty cool and all of that." But he said, "Yeah, we're off. I guess we're off most of January too." And he said, yeah. And then he said, how you holding up? And he said, "Oh, we're doing all right. You know, if we can get through December, we'll probably be all right." And we're going, ding.
Right.
If we make it through December, became that song.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't about Roy or anything. I'd give him the idea. Then he put the idea together to make a story out of it about a guy that lost his job just before Christmas.
Yeah.
You know?
One of my favorite songs of his is "Sing Me Back Home."
Yeah.
I guess you played that one. I mean, that's an amazing story, and I guess that came from him being in prison and seeing this happen.
Yeah.
Would you mind playing a little bit of that with
Sure.
me? What key is that in? Please remind me.
He did it in E. I don't think I can sing that high. Warden led a prisoner say goodbye like all the rest. And I heard him tell the warden just before he reached my cell, could you sing one more song before I go? And won't you sing me back home? This is a song I used to hear. Make my old memories come alive. Take me away and turn back years. Sing me back home before I die.
That is a beautiful song.
Yeah, great tune.
A couple more things before we go. Could we just play a blues in B flat?
Okay.
No agenda. You ready?
Yeah.
I find that everybody who I sit with, if I can play a blues with them, it's gonna teach everybody something, because that's the common language.
Well,
Seeing
show
how
you what
people
not to
approach
do.
A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3. And Redd, a pleasure
Thank you.
talking
My
with
pleasure.
you. Thank you very much. So long from the Alternative Guitar Summit, and hello to the Masters of Telecaster Camp starting
Coming
this
and
week.
starting this today.
All right.